So this is the wrap-up and summary of our calculations for our sample size and confidence intervals. If you remember, we have looked at a number of terms. We have the mean, which is mu, which is the population mean. We have x bar, which is the sample size, the sample mean. We have the population standard deviation. We have the sample standard deviation. Over here we have the population proportion. We have the sample proportion. We also have population size, sample size. We have our z value, which is based on the confidence that we want to have, and our e value, which is our allowable error. So we have four formulas, only four formulas. If we're dealing with sample size, we have these two. We've seen them before. Sample size, if we're looking for the sample around a mean, is equal to the sample size is equal to the z times the standard deviation, sample standard deviation divided by the allowable error, and that's squared. Then we're looking at sample size for a proportion, and we find sample size equal to z squared, which is based on our confidence level again, times the proportion times 1 minus the proportion divided by allowable error squared. If we're looking at a confidence interval, we have a confidence interval around a mean. We seldom know the population mean, so we're looking for the sample. We find a sample mean of x bar plus or minus z based on our confidence level divided by the standard deviation that we've calculated when we found this, and the sample size. That will give us our confidence interval for a mean. We're looking at confidence interval for proportion, and we have pi is equal to p plus or minus z, which is based on our confidence level, times the square root of p, which is the proportion, same proportion, 1 minus p over n. Those are the four formulas. If we're dealing with the means, we're always on the top. So when you look at a problem, the first thing you want to look for and see if there's a mean mentioned. If the mean is mentioned, you know it has to be one of these two formulas. If you're talking about a sample size, the mean's not there. If you're looking at confidence interval, sample size is already there. So look and see what's missing. If you're looking for a proportion, and you have that percentage of that proportion, if it's going to be one of these two formulas. If you're looking for the sample size is not there. You need sample size here. You don't need it here. You're looking for it here. So what we end up with is we have two formulas for the means. We have two formulas for the proportions. We have two formulas for confidence intervals. We have two formulas for sample size, and we have these variables. And that's all there is to it. The challenge is to remember which formula is the correct formula, and this little diagram here should give you a hint when you're trying to solve these problems.